Welcome to Mountaineer Football Tonight, the weekly coaches show for Kings Mountain High School, brought to you by KMHS Sports and the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club.
Football tonight, Coach's Show with Coach Herron. I am your host, Craig Short. Drew Fulton is behind the controls. We will welcome Coach on the show in just a moment. We're going to talk tonight about the big win this past Friday against the Crest Chargers, and we're going to talk about the makeup game this coming weekend in a couple days versus North Gaston, and the final JV game, which will be played tomorrow night here at John Gamble. So stick around after the break. We'll welcome Coach to the show, and we'll start talking about the game against Crest. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Glad you're in here and dry. You got to practice in the rain
Yeah,
today.
it was a little wet out there.
Welcome to the show. Another huge conference win versus Crest. I will tell you, I'm going to start off the bat by saying I'm going to rely on you more probably than normal, because, and I know you've been busy, but my notes got choppy because the game was so exciting that I lost track a couple of times. I know I've left some stuff out, so I know you always fill in, but definitely plug in, because like I got, especially in that second half, I got off a little bit. The defense started out, you could tell, I mean, they were locked in right off the bat. I thought they started out very strong. Went 3 and out, and they called a personal foul on us, which was unintentional.
Right, it was unintentional, but the
had
official had to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, you need a guy who's down on the ground in the head, and I don't think Thomas meant to do that.
No,
but
I don't think so either.
He got up, he was excited, and that hurt us. That was a tough way to finish, because of it was 3 and out, and it was very aggressive. We did exactly what we wanted to do defensively, and then we ended up on that drive giving up a score.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing, but it was a good start for us. Other than the penalty.
I thought they looked sharp because they get a couple of penalties that backs them up on the kickoff. We get good field position, and then so I mean they score, but then we move down and score as well. You called timeout, and I'm gonna let you talk about the scenario. You thought about a field goal. You called timeout. We scored to make it 7-7 at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Talk about, like you mentioned a little bit about the defense and how we started the game, but talk a little bit about how you felt like we got going, especially when the offense answered.
Well, I think that was one of the key parts of the game. I mean, obviously the second half was huge for us, and we'll get to that, but. That second drive, or our first drive coming after they scored, and just looking at my notes, we ended up in a 4th and 2. JoJo got us the first down there. We put on that drive, we put Gash in it, running back. Yeah. He had a good run during that. I got to put my glasses on.
While you're doing that, Coach, I think we converted 2 fourth downs. On that drive, right?
Yep. And we had a bootleg pass where we threw the ball out there to Antonio to get us some yards, and then we ended up in a 4th and 1. And so, in my mind, I'm thinking let's kick field goal, get points, but then I'm also thinking, man, in big games like this, you're not gonna kick field goals to win, and we're in a 4th and 1 situation. We've been working on our quarterback sneak with TJ. He's a big body, strong kid. So we put the offense back out there. They got it on. They got the first down for us, and then we ended up with JoJo running a 3-yard touchdown. So and so it was an answer to theirs, and they got theirs because we made a mistake. And so I thought that made me feel a lot better. I knew that it was going to be a close game. I knew it's two real good teams, but when you give up a score and then you come back and answer, it makes you feel a little bit better.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit last week, Coach, and we'll talk more about it in the second half because we really saw what I'm about to say in the second half. It was another example of how there was no panic.
Right.
You know, I mean, the defense, if you think about it, the defense played really well on that drive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Crest scored. You're not going to win every battle, but in my opinion, they played extremely well. But then we went right back down the field and scored. And you could tell there was, I mean, the boys knew they were confident.
Yeah,
they really felt confident, or at least it appeared they did.
I felt that same way. I was like, you know, nobody's panicking, nobody's pitching a fit and all of that. So I felt pretty good, and you know, and even the score, even when they scored on that first drive, you know, they get in that heavy set, and we've seen it, and we knew what to do, but we lined up wrong against it.
Right.
And we'll talk about that in a minute because we lined up against it wrong 3 times, and it cost us. So we just had guys in the wrong place. So anyway, 7-7, I felt a lot better, and I knew that our guys knew that we could play. You know? So
well, even
that was
after,
a good start.
I'm sorry, Coach. Even after we give up the safety, on the ensuing free kick, Rom boots one deep, which was great. That was much needed because, you know, a lot of times in that conversion like that, you know, your kicker or your punter, whichever one you decide to use, maybe doesn't get a clean one. He gets one of his best kicks off, and pins them deep.
And we get them started.
Yes, they're starting way deep.
Minus 38, which is pretty good after a safety. So I know what you mean. I just hate that safety happened, and you know, just so that everybody knows. Again, I put that on me. That's one of the things that I usually work punters with. They have to know that if you get a low snap, that you bend at your back and not at your knees. Get your hands down, play goalie, put your feet together, and keep it in between your hands. And I always do a drill with my punters, throwing balls on the ground at their feet, making them do that. I've never done that with Vance. So that I told Vance, man, that's on me. That's a coaching mistake. And then again, it's like Vance said. He said, "Well, Coach, my knee wasn't on the ground anyway."
No, I didn't think it was either. And it happened so fast, and he called it so fast that I agree. I didn't really think it was down. And that leads me into the second quarter because I want to ask you about this one. You know, they've got the lead 9-7. They're driving. We make a tremendous defensive play, and we stop the run, and we've got him held up, and we take the ball. But from where we were, now you were on field level, we didn't hear a whistle, but all I see was he points him down.
That's right.
So the question that we all had was, you know, I mean, that was a huge momentum swing or lack of one because that gives us the ball and kills one of their drives.
That's one of those where the official got an earful, and you know, and of course, his point was, Coach, his momentum had been stopped. And then my reply is, well, then why didn't you blow the whistle?
Blow the whistle.
And you didn't blow the whistle. And so, and what upsets me the most is that about something like that is we coach that, man. That's what we coach our kids to do. We get them in a pile, man. We got him wrapped up. Somebody else is going for the football. And I think it was Dakota Smith. He did a perfect job of grabbing the end of that ball and ripping it out. And there it is. We've got the football back, and you know, official doesn't see it that way. So it's one of those tough things that you have to deal with in the game. But I was still pleased with our players because they did something that we practice. Is something that we try to do.
Well, and then, you know, they get that score, but then we go right back down the field.
By the way,
yes,
they were in heavy, and we were lined up wrong. So
that's the touchdown they got off of heavy.
That's the second one that they've gotten because we were lined up wrong.
But that does change in the second half.
Yes, that's what halftimes to do that for you. You know,
so we go back down the field to kick a field goal, and it's 16-10. So that's a good answer. Obviously, you'd like a touchdown.
We would,
but it was a good answer, I thought.
24-yard field goal for Matt was good at that point, and in that situation we just needed points.
Yeah.
And so that was a good answer. It was at least closed the gap. You know.
Crest gets the ball, drives down the field. This is the next time They use that nasty package. They go off tackle again. We know what they're going to do. They take the lead going into the half at 23-10.
We were in the wrong line. Go ahead.
I was about to ask you if we were.
Oh, yeah.
So my question
our
for that
our safety was on another planet when all of this was going on. But
that was going to be my question. What was your message going into the half? Because here's my thing. I know you're down 13, but you also knew you were getting the ball. Now, we can look back on it with hindsight now because the game's over.
Yeah.
But you knew you were getting the ball, so you had to feel good about that because the offense had been moving the ball pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
And minus a few miscues, the defense was stopping them or making them work. So, what were you talking to the boys about mainly, aside from making adjustments at halftime? Remember, we got kids watching.
Well, here's the thing is that, and I'll just be truthful and tell you, so that was, at that point, that was the first time, right there in the end of the second quarter was the first time that I started to see the finger pointing and the whining and the moaning and all that stuff. So we get in at halftime and I'll just say it. I mean, I'm not going to call names, but we had a player who basically said, "I quit," took his shoulder pads off, threw them down, which I've never really dealt with that before. So I just told them, I got them all to sit down, and I explained to them that, I've been in a situation like this before, and I talked about a game that I coached back when I was at South Point. I'll just say it, but our quarterback, who's our best player, he plays for the Rams now. He's a great player, Darion Kendrick. He got thrown out of the game. Long story short, he got thrown out of the game with like 2 minutes left in the half against another team down around Columbia. And we were up 17-14. Well, when you walked in our locker room, you'd have thought somebody had gotten killed. I mean, everybody was there was no emotion. Everybody was like, what are we going to do now? We don't have DK. So I got over there with the defense and I said, look, y'all, we're up 17-14. So you go out and pitch shutout like you're supposed to, because that's what we aim to do anyway. If you do that, we win the game. Well, I don't know why everybody's so down. Well, long story short, we end up winning that game 53-13 and do it with a sophomore quarterback. And so I told him, I was like, look, y'all, the only thing you got to do is go out and play. I mean, you got to go finish what you started. Being down is just a part of it. And I really think I saw guys look at me like, man, hey, let's just go play. Yep. And so I think it kind of calmed them down. I think it brought them back down to thinking about all the work they put in, and let's just go do it. Yep. So I saw a change right there. That was really good.
Well, emotions were really high. I mean, they're going to be high in that game anyway. Any county game is going to be big between these four teams whenever they play. They just always are. And then, emotions were up before the game and we got that settled down. And then, the defense was playing great in the first half, and then they gave up a thing or two that they didn't want to. The offense was clicking, but probably would have wanted to do a little more. So, I know they were frustrated, but they weren't more frustrated than you guys. And but that calming part helped because, obviously we don't know what is being said at halftime, but I was watching you when you guys came out for the second half. You could just tell. Yeah, they looked like they were ready, and it proved that they were because we get the ball and we commit a penalty, so we're deep in our own territory, and then a couple of plays, 3 plays later, JoJo breaks one, and you give me the exact yardage, but I think was it 88 yards?
No, 83.
83.
We had it on the 17. It was 3rd and 3 on the 17.
And he breaks a big one. And what I love about that? And I'm just old school. I love when I think big passes are great, and I think they're awesome. And I love when guys score on big passes. I like kick returns and punt returns and pick sixes. But I love long runs.
I do too.
Because long runs to me means everything happened at the mesh point the right way.
Right.
And that OL did exactly what they were supposed to do. And they kicked out and wrapped around or blocked down or whatever their scheme was on the play. And then
Coach Bolton, I'd heard him tell them because they were kind of getting frustrated because it was 3 and 4 yards, which is what we told our guys. We say, hey man, this is going to be one of those games where you just got to keep pounding. But I heard Coach Bolton tell him, "So y'all just relax and keep doing what you're doing. It's going to pop. It's going to pop." I heard him tell him that, and sure enough, it went. He went right up the middle, and we knew that JoJo was going to have to beat one of those guys once he gets through. He has to beat one of those guys on his own. We don't have enough to block them all. And he stiff arms that linebacker and puts him down, and he's gone.
He hit another gear too.
Then he hit another gear.
When he got to about where a safety level would be. Not that I don't think he's fast. I do think he's fast, but you can tell. I've watched that play so many times.
Yeah.
And not because I think it's beautiful. I'm watching where it's happening, where all of it's meshing, and then I watch him when he gets free, that extra little jolt
he does.
where he takes off.
He turns it on, and so that was really good. And I added a little note on my notes is that if you watch the whole play, we have an offensive lineman that runs that whole distance and gets down there and lifts JoJo up to me, see that says a lot to me. It's a lot of times our guys will score and they're so excited as soon as they score they just turn and run to the sideline and nobody's ever and I of course JoJo was probably tired. He just ran 83 yards as fast as he could.
As fast as he could, yeah.
But Samarion Dawkins ran all the way down the field, got to him and celebrated with him. So that was a great thing to see.
And you may talk about it later, and I'll say a couple of things also probably, but the OL played extremely well.
They did.
Friday night.
Yes.
They did.
Yes.
So we get that, and then I'm making notes about what he just did on that run, and I look up because people are going crazy, and we've got the ball.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back and watch it on the game film myself, but what a great call, and what a great execution.
Perfect.
Not only was it, I mean, it's a gutsy call because if you don't get it, they've got it as short field. But, I think to keep the momentum and to give you even more, you do it. And what we didn't know at the time, that's going to be the final score. Yeah. But great kick, great recovery, and we're right back in business.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about the kids is that, we've worked that play since we put it in last year, never used it. But we've worked it all year this year. It's just a part of, I guess, my package is what I do. And so this week, I told Matt, I said, Matt, I don't want you doing that kick on the turf. I want you to practice it all down on the grass field.
Right.
Because when you're over, because the ball is different.
It's different. Yeah.
So every day, Matt would go down to the grass field and he would get his kicks in. I wasn't watching him, of course. I wasn't there with him. Nobody was there. I don't know if Coach Trahan went down there with him or not. But he worked on it, and I asked him on Thursday when we do all of our special team stuff. I asked him. I said, "Hey man, you been working on that kick?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I got it." And I'm telling you, it was perfect. It was exactly the way we drew it up. Yeah. That ball's supposed to get to the 10-yard line going slow, and we want the kicker to recover it. Now we had Eli and Samaj running right beside it and trying to cut off guys if they could, but it was perfectly executed.
It was. So, I mean, we get it, and then we another great drive. I mean, it's well executed. We've got runs by Joe. We've got, Tyler comes in and runs the ball for us.
Yep.
Got to meet his dad, by the way, Friday night, which was awesome. He said he lives in Oklahoma and watches us. A big pass to Gash, and then the shovel pass underneath to Eli and get in. That was enormous.
Yeah.
And then wait. And then I saw somebody who looked a lot like you come down the sideline afterwards and kind of talk to the crowd a little bit, which I thought was awesome.
The crowd was really into it after the score. They were really into it, and I was trying to let them know that it's just like what I tell our players. Man, it's not over. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. So our fans have got to stay in it too. We got to have them. They're a huge boost for our players, and so it was exciting. That was an exciting whole series right there for what we were doing. Yeah,
because even when they get the ball back, we came out, we're stout again. When we get a good hit on the quarterback, they do convert, but then we stop them, get a huge stop toward the end of the third quarter, and we get the ball back, and that's finally when we can get one to Tex.
Yeah, but and on my notes, what I listed that you got to remember, and we talk about our defense a lot, but you know, they were in a 3rd and 4. We stopped them on the run, and it was a 4th and 4, and they tried the quick screen pass out there, and we stopped them. So that was a huge play. They were down there, you know, pretty close.
They were inside. Were they inside? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Inside the 20. So that was a huge stop for us, and obviously a big play. And then of course I labeled that, you know, throw a 38-yard pass to Tex to get us out there towards midfield, which was it kind of helps you and loosens you up a little bit and puts you in a position. But then you know we have the interception. And
that's where I was going to go. It does stall with the interception at 11-13, but there again, like I've said, no panic.
No panic.
I mean, they've got decent field position off of that, but yet our guys come in and just they go to work.
Yeah.
I mean, so you had to feel, you know, at the time, you probably were, you know, a little miffed, not at the boys, but at the play.
Yeah.
But we get the ball back, so we force them to punt, and we're inside our 50 or their 50.
Yeah, and let me just say something real quick about the punt too. So they end up in like it was 4th and 33, and we had worked all week on our punt return team we were going to go after their punt. So or if we had an opportunity, because you don't get a lot of opportunities. They don't punt the ball very often. One of the punts they did early in the game was a quick kick. So, but if we had an opportunity, I wanted to go after one of their punts. So we had a punt block called. And we were lined up ready to go, and actually Coach Carroll said, "Coach, just don't let them rough the kicker." And that it hit me that if you do rough the kicker, it's an automatic first down. So I went to the official and clarified, and he was like, "Oh yes, that's automatic." And right before the ball snapped, I said, "All right, call timeout." Yeah. And so I brought the guys over and I explained to them. I was like, "Look, y'all, we want to go after this thing. We cannot hit that kicker, because if you do, it's an automatic first down." And I believe it was like 3 guys. One of them was Eli Lipscomb that hit me like immediately. "No, Coach, we ain't doing it. Let's don't do it." Which is what I was going to suggest anyway. Yeah. But I wanted them to have some ownership. I wanted them to help make the decision. And they made a good decision. So we decided to do a return instead, and it was a shank punt, about 20-yarder, and it worked out well. But I think that's another thing that shows a lot about where our team is. Yeah. They're maturing, they're using intelligence as they're playing the game, and not just out there running around going crazy. Yeah. So I was real pleased with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and even that drive, you know, we move the ball well. We eat up some clock. We get down inside the 10, and we have a 4th and goal. And TJ throws a great ball back across his body, you know, from the right hash over. But there's a penalty. Yeah. And that goes from there. Oh, speaking of that, I got to go back. to the first quarter.
Okay.
The very first touchdown they scored. So the question we had was that. So the official let that score stand.
All right. Yeah, I know what you're going to ask me.
So
I do not know, and he did not give me an explanation. The only thing that I was told was they called holding against them.
Right.
But it was after the score. So how that happens, I'm not sure. But then, of course, they got the excessive celebration on top of that. That's why they got backed up so far on the kickoff. Okay. But that was the explanation I was given, that they have a holding call, but they had scored before the hold took place.
So one of our good friends who is an official, a retired official, he talks to us throughout the game. And he was saying, he was trying to get me to look to see when the flag was dropped. And his point was, as you probably know, if the flag was dropped before they were in the end zone, it should not have counted.
Right. And so they said that it was.
Okay. So, anyway, I meant to ask that earlier. Sorry, I brought that back up.
I don't know why anybody would be holding another player while the other team is scoring. The ball is in the end zone. But, hey, man.
Okay. Anywho. So we go for it on 4th and goal. Of course, we don't convert because they call us on a procedure.
Yeah, and remember, we put the field goal unit out there.
Yes, we did.
We were going to kick it, and Coach Carroll came to me and he was like, Coach, I'm not sure that if the 3 points, if that's going to win the game for us. 3 points, whether or not it's going to win the game. After we kick the field goal, then we got to kick it off, and our kickoff team is. Now they did a great job the other night. They got to say they did a great job doing what we want to do. But we're going to give them the ball because we're going to sky kick it. So we're going to give them the ball out there at least at the 35-yard line. And so he was like, man, you might want to just go for it and let's make them go the whole distance. Yeah. And that made more sense to me also. And I had thought about it. But I'm just one of those that I kind of stick to the books. Hey man, we got the ball right there and we can get points. Let's get points. And but that made more sense.
Sure.
And so
and we had a good play.
And we have our defense. We're getting ready to put out there.
Defense
on the field
is playing
too.
well, and even the play we executed was a great play. It was. I'd say we run that play 10 more times. We score at least 7 or 8 of those times. It just was a miscue on Tex turning upfield.
Right.
I don't know if Gash was in the end zone or not, but regardless, it was a great play. So it was a good call.
It was a good call. It's a play that we practice every week, and Coach Bolton, that was a great call by Coach Bolton. Just like the shuffle pass. Coach put that in. He designed that play over starting on Tuesday. And he made some little modifications here or there, but both of those are really good calls down there. I thought they were really good calls. But
so I appreciate the explanation on that too, because my thought was I didn't know how Matt would feel kicking from the right hash.
Yeah,
coming back across his body, he may be comfortable doing that. I know we practiced him in pregame and probably in practice, but I thought about that too. But it makes sense for that.
Yeah.
So our defense absolutely makes a huge stand. They shut that down. The pressure on the quarterback, I thought, was even better when it needed to be then. Makes him make some errant throws. And then I said the wrong guy because it was so crowded on the sideline when we got the sealing seal the deal with the interception, but it was
Jameer Kennedy. Kennedy.
He did. And he got a huge interception right there going out of bounds. That was great.
And it was perfect too. He put that foot down. He looked like a receiver. He put that foot down. He caught the ball and put the foot down. Yeah. It was perfect. So I was real happy for him. That's a huge play.
Yeah. So let's sum it up, Coach. Tell us what you thought about the game and your takeaways. And then we'll take our break to our game for this week and the players of the week.
Obviously it's fun to play in games like that. It's nerve-wracking, but it is fun to play in big games that matter. And but the takeaways that I have is penalties make a difference. And I say that I didn't count them all, but I think we had 5 penalties, and I think they had somewhere close to 15. And so they make a difference. And people, I know there's going to be people out there that say, the officials won the game for you, but they had all those penalties, and they held Samaj every play, and I don't think he got one call.
Yes.
So whatever it is, the penalties make a huge difference. And I'm glad we won that side of the penalty battle. The second thing, takeaway, is that adjustments are key in tight games. When you're playing good teams and it's a tight game, you got to be able to make adjustments. Players got to be able to adjust with you. And I thought we did a good job at halftime making some adjustments that needed to be made. And then the third takeaway is just like I was explaining to them about at halftime and telling them that story and making them understand that, man, you never quit. You never quit. I couldn't imagine, and I know our player, he actually apologized quickly to the team at the very end, but I couldn't imagine taking my shoulder pads and helmet and jersey off and throwing it down and say I quit. So we all have that gave us all a chance to learn, and that's what we're really doing here. Is we're trying to teach young people, and learning to never quit is a great characteristic to learn. So those are the takeaways that I had.
So it's a great win, Coach. Puts us tied for first in the conference with South Point. So I guess in essence you're saying you're sharing the conference title, but I know they give the head-to-head for the seedings.
Yep.
They get the first seed. But that's okay. We finished with a good, strong record there, beating a really good team. Playing back-to-back Ashbrook, then Crest, having to get up for 2 physical, well-coached, athletic teams and getting 2 wins against 2 really good teams. I said it last week. I think that bodes well for us going into the playoffs because we're playing high competition and we're playing at a high level, and that's a good thing. So, that's great, Coach, and I appreciate you giving me that info and helping me with my notes because, like I said, I didn't get everything. So, we'll take a break real quick. We'll come back. We'll talk about the game this week against North Gaston, and we'll do our Players of the Week. So, fans, stick around, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Coach, the Hurricane game is what I was going to call this one. So, makeup game against North Gaston, obviously a conference game, so we need to play it. And I mean, the state extended the season, of course, for the whole state. I'm just going to let you talk. I'm not going to ask another question unless I think of something, but tell us what your approach is being or what your approach is going into the week, preparing for this one, and then what we're going to see with them. And I do want to ask this and add this to it. I'm assuming, now this is only an assumption, so you shoot me down. I'm assuming possibly with the JV playing tomorrow, we can go ahead and pull whatever kids you're thinking about pulling. I know we've had some up with us each week.
Yeah.
But I know I thought like probably, assuming, you correct me, or don't answer at all, you're going to go ahead and pull the guys we need, and they'll just be with us throughout. So go ahead and talk to those things.
Well, so first of all, our plan, our procedure doesn't change.
Right.
Now, I will say that we went out yesterday, Monday's practice, we went out in helmets only, which is the first time we've done that maybe since I've been here. Mm-hmm. But after 2 weeks of two hard-fought physical games, I thought that they needed a little break. So we went out Monday, and I told them, I said, y'all, we're going to do this, but if it's not a very good practice, we'll never do it again. And they did a good job. So that was good for yesterday. We did a lot of learning type stuff, knowing what we're going to do and what we're going to see. So that was a good Monday practice. And then today we're back to business as usual. It's a long practice. We go through all the special teams, coach them up. They're in shoulder pads and helmets. We're doing offense and defense. We did the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the week will be like it always is. So the procedure is the same.
Right.
When you're talking about North Gaston, it's a trap game. It's a game that where if you're not prepared, you can get embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And they've got some good players. All their low digit number guys are pretty good. Number one and number 0 and number 1 and number 6 and number 8. They're really good football players. And so we've got to be ready to play. And it's like I've told our players. I told them on Mondays, y'all just go back and look at us through the season, and you'll see that we generally play to the level of our competition. If we're playing somebody that's really good, that we think's really good, we usually play pretty good. And if we're playing somebody that we don't think is very good based on their record, mm-hmm. then we usually don't play very well. And that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Correct.
You gotta what we call the process is a thing that people use all the time. Nick Saban talks about the process. Is you do the same things all the time, and you should get the same results. So what we're trying to push them on this week is stick with the process, do what we do, and let's get better. We need to go out and play really, really well against these guys. And if we do what we can do, if we do it with the same mentality that we did that we've played at the last 2 weeks, then I feel really, really good.
Yeah.
But if we play like we do it against a couple of other teams earlier in the season, then we're going to be frustrated. We're going to be aggravated, and it's not going to be a good thing. So, but that's a part, like I said, it's the maturity thing, and I think that's we're headed in that direction. So
You
hopefully,
definitely want to keep progressing.
no doubt.
Yeah.
You know, that's getting ready for the playoffs. That's what you want to do. You want to be hitting the high parts of your season. You want to be clicking on all cylinders when you get to the playoffs.
Right.
So to answer your question about the other guys, I don't believe it. You know, you have to say who your 8-quarter players are. We've already established who our 10 8-quarter players are, and so they will be with us as always. And then I have a playoff roster already made. The guys that we're going to bring with us, and you know, really, it's like we tell them, we're bringing you up here to be a practice player.
Sure.
So and I give them an option. It's not like I go tell them you're coming to the playoffs. I don't do that. I give them the option. Some of them, you know, wrestle, and some of them play basketball. And we have one. There was one that I wanted to come with us to help us in the secondary, and he said, Coach, I was told. He didn't tell me. He told another coach that when the JV season's over, he's going to basketball. So, I mean, I get it. That's the way it is, and you know, we're not going to force anybody to do it. But we've got a good group that's going to come and help us, and they'll start with us on Monday.
Good.
Yeah.
So they will or will not travel Friday?
They will not.
The 8-quarter guys.
The 8-quarter guys will.
Yes. The ones that have been with you the whole time.
The ones that's been with us the whole time. Yes.
Okay. So, Coach, let's do our players of the week.
Yep.
So we'll do like we always do, the Butler Outdoor Designs Players of the Week. We do overall, offensive, defensive, special teams, and then I'm gonna let you tell us about the teammate of the week. And I saw his picture; it actually intimidated me the way he was looking through the top of that hat.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. Butler's Outdoor Designs Players of the Week. We'll start with overall.
All right. The overall, we have to go with JoJo. He carried the load for us all night and gave us a spark with the big run. But he also, you know, he carried the ball 24 times. That's a good amount of carries, and had 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. That 83-yard, like I said, was a spark. That play was huge for us. So JoJo Hill is our overall player for this week.
And I was going to say, after the game, I talked to several of the players, but I hit him on the shoulder, and you know, he shook my hand and all, and I was thinking he looked like he could still go run a few more.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he was still locked in and ready.
And which is great.
That's excellent.
It's good that it shows that the way that we practice and we try to go fast and do things, it keeps us in shape. So that was good, and I'm happy for JoJo. He works hard, and he loves he loves playing this game.
Yeah.
So the offensive player of the week, behind that, I would love to have given it to the whole offensive line. I think they all deserve it. I thought Jamel Lee had probably his best game.
He had a great game. I called his name several times on there. Yes,
he did a great job, but they all did. They all had a very good game. But Jack Kaiser was the guy that we kept running behind, and Jack was doing an excellent job getting people knocked backwards. So we're going to take Jack Kaiser and make him the offensive player of the week, but the whole offensive line is included.
They did. We got good snaps off all night, you know, on the backside too. Sam Bryson has some of the best technique I've seen. I mean,
he works his butt off.
He does.
But
But Jack reset his guy a few times, and Jamel getting around on the pulls, and it was a good thing to watch.
Yeah. And then we've got, I don't know. Oh, the honorable mention of offense.
Yes.
We need to throw in Gash. He had 4 catches for 70 yards, big first down catch. So we got to throw him in there, give him some love too. Defensive player of the week. We'll start with the honorable mentions because there's several. You have Eli, who had 52 production points, 8 tackles, a sack, quarterback pressure, batted pass, third down stop. And then you have Antonio Armstrong, who had 50 production points. He had 9 tackles, a half of a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback pressure. Thomas Fair had a great night, 41 production points, 8 tackles, a sack, 2 quarterback pressures. Lathan Feemster had a good night, 41 production points with 10 tackles, pass broken up, and third down stop. But I'm going to go with the defense player of the week as Samaj Odoms. He led the team with 80 production points, 5 solo tackles, 13 assisted tackles. He had half of a sack, quarterback pressure, and 2 third down stops. So there's a lot of them there that are worthy, but Samaj had a great night because you included with that. He did all that while he was getting held.
Big time. So, there were a few times I thought they were going to pull his jersey off.
Yes,
no joke.
yeah. So Samaj, great game, and I'm proud of him because he came back in the second half and really didn't let the first half get him down, and he kept playing. So very proud of him. And then special teams, got to give it to Matt Rom without a doubt. 1 for 1 on field goals, 24-yard kick, which was good. 3 for 3 on PATs, and then he got that
onside
kick. He got that illustrious onside kick.
Like I said, he executed it.
Yes.
Because he kicked it the right way, kicked it the right amount, and then he was able to recover it.
Yes.
And then talk about the teammate of the week. Oh wait, you're taking your drink.
The teammate of the week was Latham Feimster, so
If people have not seen his picture yet on Facebook, you've got to look at him mean mugging in the hat. It's fantastic.
He's done a great job, and T.J. Armstrong was the teammate of the week before, and they picked the next one, and Latham. Latham for me, it goes all the way back to the summertime. Mm-hmm. I've seen a huge change in him, and it started back in the spring and in the summer. He's been really a leader, like in the weight room, just encouraging guys to work hard and keep doing what Coach Bolton and Coach Trahan want them to do. And Latham, he's doing a great job, and so I was glad to see him get that.
Hey, I'm telling you, he's played well all year, I think, and then I'm glad he was chosen for that because he's a heck of a player, one of many on that defensive side.
No doubt.
Coach, I know you got to get out of here because you've got family stuff to take care of.
Sir.
Good luck this week, Wednesday night. We'll tell the fans again in a minute against Forest View with the JV. We'll close out hopefully with another victory, and then a big one Friday night, North Gaston, and then we'll see Saturday morning where we're seated and where we're going, or whether we're hosting, and then we'll go from there.
Nah, that's the plan. I hope everybody got out and voted today.
I do too.
That's important.
That is very important.
And so I know I did, and I ask everybody to please say a prayer for my wife's dad.
Yep,
he's in the hospital, and so that's where I'm headed now. I got to go take care of the family. So
yes, sir.
But we're gonna get him right.
Family first.
Yes, sir.
Coach, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you Friday. So fans, stick around. We'll come back. We'll do our This Week at Kings Mountain and our Fan of the Week, and close out shop. Be right back.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
We're going to do This Week at Kings Mountain first?
yes.
Because we don't really have a whole bunch, but we'll go over it, and we'll give the stuff about the ball game too. So we'll get the graphic up. So This Week at Kings Mountain, you can see there's not a lot on the calendar, of course, because we are going in between seasons. Basketball has started, wrestling has started, swimming has started, so we don't have anything other than but practice for them at the moment. So that's why you don't see anything on those days. But you do see two very important dates there. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, here at home at John Gamble Stadium against the Forest View Jaguar JV team. So make sure you're here for that and support the Mountaineers as they finish out their JV season on a high, the conference champions, and we want to get one more victory. And then, of course, the big one, the varsity game, Friday night, 7:30 at North Gaston. So let's finish out strong this season. Remember the Gaston County bag policy. Drew has got the graphic up now. No bags are allowed inside Trudenac Stadium. Tickets can be purchased at the gate with cash, or you can go to hometownticketing.com. That's the app we've used pretty much all year. There is no live stream available for Gaston County games. Check social media for updates. We may be able to do something else, but we're not positive we can. And then that will end out the season, regular season. And then we will be back here Monday talking about the playoffs. Moving on to our fan of the week, Miss Kim Bolin, the only person that probably loves Diet Sundrop. Her and Tracy, her wonderful husband, probably love it more than me and Coach. She is our fan of the week. She keeps Coach supplied in Diet Sundrop and has brought me a few too, and is wonderful because she's a great fan and she does great things for the Mountaineer Nation. Her wonderful daughter is in the band. She's a big supporter, her and her family, and we're proud to honor Kim among one of the many wonderful fans we have at our games. Friday night was big. And Kim, if you're watching or when you watch this, remember, you don't get anything for this. We just want to say congratulations. So Drew says he gives you an air high five. All right, moving on from there. So we go to next, Touchdown Club. As I do all week, all year long, we want to thank the Touchdown Club for making this possible and all the things we do. Being able to broadcast Friday night and show that game, like I said, I got to meet Tyler's dad. He's from Oklahoma. He was there at the game Friday night, but he gets to watch when we broadcast. And that's one example of many of what is wonderful about our Touchdown Club. Touchdown Club does all things for our students and our student athletes and our community in general here at this campus and at the middle school campus. So please consider supporting and being with the Touchdown Club, kmtouchdownclub.com. Talk to David or Marie Brinkley or one of us and we can hook you up with that. And remember, everything you do, whether it be volunteer time or money that you give, goes right back to all things Kings Mountain, whether it's the middle school or the high school, kmtouchdownclub.com. They make possible this YouTube channel. I tell you each week, make sure you like and subscribe. Like our broadcasts and then subscribe to the channel if you have not, and tell your friends so they can watch the football. One of my former players was watching us in Atlanta on Friday night. I've got guys that I work with down in Blacksburg who watch us on a weekly basis. There are people around that do because they just love high school football. And we are blessed to be able to do this, and we appreciate you spreading the word about what we do here and what we do with our broadcast. Any more graphics? So that's it for those. So we want to remind you about the game. Tomorrow night, JV here, last JV game of the season here at 7 o'clock. Varsity's last regular season game Friday at Trudeneck Stadium at North Gaston High School. Make sure you get there early. Remember, no bags that you can bring in, and get there and cheer on the Mountaineers. And then we'll be ready to see where we're seated for the playoffs. Those brackets will be out Saturday. Everybody can look at them, and then we'll talk about it Monday on the show about where we're going to be. Continue to think of Coach Herron's family, his father-in-law dealing with some medical issues. Continue to pray for them. Pray for our brothers and sisters in Western North Carolina who are still recovering from Hurricane Helene. And pray for our nation as we go through these elections today, that we have the right people put in place who will lead us in the right directions on the local, state, and federal levels. Appreciate all you do. Thank you for being a Mountaineer fan. We will see you Friday. Have a wonderful rest of your week and be blessed.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,